All right. Hi, everyone. Jeff Burns here from Atrium, responsible for our customer success team. And with us today, we have Randy Colley.
Hello, everybody. Randy Colley, customer engagement team here at Atrium.
And Randy has been involved in some of our largest, most complex forecasting transformation projects. So super excited to have Randy here with us. And today we're going to be talking about intelligent systems and forecasting. And when we talk about what an intelligent forecasting solution is, it is, getting to an accurate forecast is kind of table stakes. What we're really talking about is a system of engagement where we're surfacing actionable insights that enable predictability, win rate, and drive accountability down to the individual rep level, down to the individual deal level across our sales team. And we're going to talk about how to do that today with Salesforce.com. As well as Tableau CRM, formerly known as Einstein. And so over the course of the next 30 minutes, we're going to hit on examples of what that intelligent experience looks like for forecasting. We'll talk about the journeys that many of our clients are taking to move through their data-driven maturity curves into a true intelligent experience for forecasting. We'll talk about the solution components specific around Salesforce.com. What are our options there? And then we'll get into a demo of what that actually looks like, as well as a couple specific client examples. So a lot of material to cover today, should be useful. But before we get into the details of an intelligent experience with forecasting, let's dig into Atrium a little bit for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet us before. So Atrium is a platinum Salesforce consulting partner. We really focus heavily on deploying intelligent forecasting solutions on the Salesforce platform. And one of the things that makes Atrium unique is we take a data-driven approach to doing that. And so many of us can remember across the years and decades of implementing CRM solutions, we bring a bunch of people together, we bring our subject matter experts, we bring our opinion leaders together, and often the loudest voice, the loudest opinion kind of carries the day in terms of the solution direction. And while we still believe that those opinion leaders and subject matter experts are incredibly important in the way that we define and develop our solutions, it's really important to bring our data along for the ride too, to give our data a voice, surface the insights upfront in our program so that we know how to leverage it, how to turn it into a strategic asset to deliver insights for our users at the time of go live. And that's really a unique approach that we have at Atrium, is embedding ML, machine learning, and analytic-driven insights into the solutions across all the areas in which we focus. We do work with our clients across all aspects of their delivery, whether it's upfront strategy, whether it's implementation, or ongoing optimization and support. We support our customers through their entire life cycle. So that's a little bit about Atrium. And if we double click into that intelligent experience, let's talk about what that means a little bit more. We all have access to a lot of data, more data, frankly, than we need or want. So the trick is, how do we get prescriptive and predictive insights in the context of how people are working and that are actionable, right? These are the three components that we really refer to when we talk about intelligent experience. And in the context of forecasting and pipeline management, it's, deal level insights in context of where I'm working. What deal stage am I in? What should I be doing right now? And how can I record those actions? How can I prescribe and record those actions so that I can actually operate more effectively across my organization? And so here's an example of that. So here we're looking at Salesforce Lightning. I'm in my account console and I can see I'm getting notified for a pipeline drop at a particular account. Maybe I'm a key account manager and this is a global account for my company. I see a pipeline drop, I'm getting notified of that. I can then visualize and I can kind of see what the trend is across my lifetime closed won opportunities is over any given time period. Am I trending up or down or above or below my average? I can see a predicted win rate over here on number 3. It looks like we've got a predicted win rate of about 77%. And then I can see recommended actions that I can be taken. How can I drive that up or down? I can have those prescribed to me. I can record those. And I can actually build a data set that I can be more prescriptive of in a virtuous cycle ongoing. And so that's a little bit about an example of what that could look like in Salesforce. Let's take it really more specific and talk about forecasting. So the things that we hear from our clients that keep them awake at night. Number one, surprises. We all hate surprises. Often we don't have visibility, we don't have access to our data. It gets rolled up in a spreadsheet, and often we kind of hear about things after the fact. So avoiding surprises, avoiding outdated data, right? How can we make it real time, live in the system, so that we can interact with it, get our notifications all in real time, both at the individual rep level and then organizationally, at our manager level, at our teams level, at our regions level. In having that visibility to our real-time data, how do we then take action on it? And often this is kind of the key to really driving adoption and maturity in our forecasting tools, in our CRM tools overall, right? So provide the insights, make them actionable. And then driving field accountability, right? We often hear from our customers that, many times those forecasts are created at the manager level, they're rolled up, they don't really come down to the deal level, they don't come down to the individual rep level. So how do we deploy intelligent forecasting solutions that really help drive field accountability for what those calls are going to be? And then expanding that visibility. We need visibility across multiple channels. It's not just our direct pipeline. We've got digital channels, we've got partner channels, multiple tiers of distribution very often. How do we start to build in those data sets, really not just from Salesforce, but across ERP, from across our finance systems, our logistics systems, and so forth? Bring those together so we can deliver an actionable forecast, both top down as well as bottoms up. And then how do we make that more efficient? We hear from a lot of our customers about the enormous effort that it takes to roll up forecasts across their channels, across different regions, across sales teams, and provide that kind of one number. And by the way, when we provide that one number across the sales team, often we then kind of marry that up with other points of view from finance or logistics or whoever, and then we try to figure out, well, what should that real number be, right? Well, how do we start to integrate that all into one number real time as we're rolling it up across our different business departments? So these are some of the challenges that keep many of our customers awake up at night and what we work on day in and day out. And by the way, if these resonate at all with you, you're definitely not alone. Forbes recently did a study where they found that 69% of all B2B companies, regardless of size, feel like their forecasting processes are ineffective or not as effective as they could be. And the correlate to that is then those who do have actual accurate sales forecasts and frankly timely and actionable are more likely to grow their revenue year over year. So it feels a little bit like a statement of the obvious, but we're definitely seeing it across the industry. And then the journey. So how do we get from that place where we're rolling up spreadsheets all the way up to we've got a machine learning enabled, data-driven forecast surfacing actionable insights to the fingertips of our sales teams where and when they need it? That's a big journey. And it's very, very few companies actually make that journey in one fell swoop. And so the way that we typically work with most of our clients is, a lot of our clients will kind of start in kind of like that self-service analytics range here, right here around level 2, right? I mean, this is pretty common. We're either using Salesforce Lightning reporting, we might even be using Tableau, we might be using Tableau CRM in various forms to get a basic view of what our pipeline looks like in Salesforce. That is a very typical place where we start with our clients. Even if there's a spreadsheet roll up, there's usually some form of self-service reporting that goes along with that. And the trick to getting to that level 5 actionable forecast with specific recommendations placed in an intelligent way at the fingertips of our sales reps is to go through this middle journey. Can we get a minimum viable product model out there? Can we put the right descriptive analytics in place around that model? And can we put some rudimentary action recommendations in place that we can start to record? This is the middle part where if we typically get this pilot right, we build a really nice groundswell of sponsorship and demand within the business to start really progressing up toward higher levels of automation in the insights and actions that we place around our forecasts. And frankly, when we do this right, we drive CRM adoption, we drive sales maturity, and we transform Salesforce from a record-keeping tool into a sales efficiency tool, which is where we want to be. So that's a little bit about the journey that many of our clients go through. So what are the options on the Salesforce platform? We've got a number of options available to us, right? There's the kind of the basic collaborative forecasting on the Salesforce platform. We can do great deal level forecasting with collaborative forecasting. But we don't get that ability to do run rate forecasting. We can't incorporate external data sets that might be outside of our opportunity pipeline. We certainly don't get the out-of-box analytics, and we're very limited in the type of customization that we can apply there. Then we've got Sales Cloud Einstein. Sales Cloud Einstein is great. It's a quick plugin. We get pre-built analytics on top of our collaborative forecasting in Salesforce, but we still lack some of those more custom components around run rate forecasting, leveraging external data sets, and there's not a lot there in terms of the ability to customize. And then we get into some of the more interesting options on the Salesforce platform. We've got Tableau CRM Plus, formerly known as Einstein. And coming in the winter release of 2020, we've got Revenue Operations Analytics, which uses Tableau CRM Plus, and then layers on top of that pre-built analytics and dashboards and some modeling components that can also be customized, incorporating data both within Salesforce as well as data that's brought in from outside of Salesforce. So these are a number of the options that are on the table for all of us to leverage when it comes to Salesforce forecasting. We're going to show you an example of an option with Tableau CRM Plus, formerly known as Einstein, and we'll show you a demo of what that could look like on the platform and what many of our clients are doing, or at least heading down the path to be able to do. And so the scenario that we'll show is a sales VP logging into Salesforce to review the global forecast dashboard. We'll be able to see what our field forecast looks like versus what Einstein or Tableau CRM believes it to be. We'll be able to explore that by product segments, by regions, and we'll be able to quickly understand what insights are available to us, what actions can we be taking across our organization to help drive up our win rate and increase the predictability of our forecast. Will we do what we said we would do at the beginning of our fiscal period? And so with that, we'll cut over. Let's take a look and see what this looks like within Salesforce.
And here I am. I'm looking at my global dashboard. I'm looking at Einstein Analytics embedded within Salesforce. And there are a couple of things that jump out to me immediately. All right, so I can see that for the year so far, we have a closed won of about 365 million on a quota of 526. My Einstein weighted pipeline is coming in at 461 million. And that's interesting because my total field forecast right now is at 550. All right, so that's a pretty big difference. But Einstein's also telling me that there's probably another 64 million that'll come in there, either from distribution, from commerce channels, from different channels that the sales team may not currently have visibility to, or via pipeline that just does not exist yet in Salesforce. So while that's interesting, I still have a pretty big discrepancy between my 461 and my 550, and I'm getting pretty late in the quarter, right? So that's making me a little bit nervous. And so I'm going to want to really drill in there and make sure that I understand where we're going to end up for the quarter. And so what I'll do now is I'll look across my regions, and predictably, because all my sales reps they're all optimistic. That's why we hire them. That's an attribute of success for a sales rep. I can see that my sales organization is pretty optimistic about hitting the number, right? Across all the different regions, we're kind of right there at our quota line. Now, as I look across our products, it tells a little bit of a different story. Looks like accessories is doing, a little bit under the forecast. I can see that digital media, laptops, and phones seem to be tracking well. I got a huge gap on tablets, so that's interesting. And then as I look at the bottom of my dashboard here, I can see the comparisons at the region level. I can see what my region forecasts are. I can see what my Einstein weighted forecasts are. And I can start to see those gaps now broken out by region. So that big gap that I saw globally is now made up of the sum of the gaps that I see here in my pipeline deltas between Einstein, what Einstein is saying and what the field is saying. So I see that I got a big gap in the US. I got $36 million gap in the US. I'm going to go ahead and click into the US, and let's see what additional information we can find out. I see that I'm 129 in on the US so far for the year on a quota of 204. My Einstein weighted pipeline is coming in at 171, and here's I can see that big gap represented here, right? My field is telling me that it's 207. I've potentially got another 28 million out there that I cannot yet see in my pipeline, and my Einstein total forecast is coming in at 199 million. So I really want to explore this a little bit more. And I can also see that as I was looking at my various product apps, I still see accessories is particularly low in the U.S. and tablets are very low in the U.S. So I'm gonna look out for those deals that are U.S. based and that have those particular products on them. That's going to be a big area of interest for me. So I'm going to explore my pipeline in a little bit more detail. And what this is going to do, it's going to take me to my manager's opportunity Lightning console. And I can see here that I'm going right to the US. I can see the same metrics that I was looking at before. And now I can see across my team. I can see all my RVPs here in the US. I've got Julie, Darath, Eric, I got Harold. I see a pretty big gap on Julie, so that's interesting. I'm going to come back to that. I can see how the whole team is trending against their quota line. A lot of information there. I'll probably filter that down to look at it in more detail. And really interestingly, I can see some of the top positive contributors and some of the top negative contributors to what's driving my Einstein forecast. So I can start to look for some patterns in the US right now. I can see the partners that we're working with. I can see that we're having executive meetings. I can see that we're developing business value assessments. So those are good things. I can also see that there's a number of opportunities out there where we don't have executive meetings in place. I can see where we have some close dates that are past due. I can see that we have deals out there in commit stage, but we have no quotes attached. And we've recently implemented some methodology changes in our sales organization to make sure that some of these things are actually in place. So the fact that they're not, and that Einstein can't see those things, I can understand why those forecasts are a little bit lower from an Einstein perspective versus my field. I want to make sure that we're following the right processes here and just doing the right things. So I've got a pretty big gap on Julie, as I said. I'm going to go ahead and click into Julie. A couple things happened here which are really interesting. First of all, I can see the updates for Julie's team. So all my information has now faceted on Julie's team. I can see the reps all on Julie's team, and I can see where their gaps to target are. Again, most of the team seems to be pretty close to their quota. I've got a few folks that are a little bit under. I got a massive gap on Laura Garza, though. That's really interesting. I want to check that out. I can also see the top positive and negative contributors around Laura's opportunities. And I see that I've got a few executive meetings that just have not taken place. I got committed deals out there where there's no approved quote attached. And looks like I've got some escalated cases as well. That's something I might want to dig into. By the way, you might have noticed when I clicked on Julie Chavez and I started looking at Julie's team, I've got all of Julie's opportunities here as well. I could dig into each one of these opportunities individually. I'm not quite ready for that yet. I really want to understand what's going on with Laura. So I click into Laura, I toggle over, and I can start to see some of the gaps between what Einstein is saying and what Laura is saying across her deals. And the one that jumps out to me right out of the gate is Ramcor, right? Einstein is weighting that at 1.9 million. Laura's got that weighted at 4.8. And I look down here at the opportunities, and I can see that Ramcor is in at 6.3 overall. So that's pretty interesting. I want to isolate in on that. And then here I can see some of the insights from Einstein, right? I can see the details of the opportunity. And then I can also see, here's the weighting from Einstein. Here's some of those reasons that are driving it. Okay, we see some of these patterns driving down now to a level that's actionable. I see that we don't have a quote on this one, even though it's in commit stage. I see that we do have an escalated case on it, and it doesn't look like we've had an exec meeting. I certainly haven't been in front of the customer yet. So that's really interesting. I can do a couple things here. I can action this in a number of ways. I can explore the opportunity in more detail if I wanted to, but I don't want to do any guesswork here. I just want to get a deal review. So I'm going to go ahead and action this opportunity. And I'm going to request a deal review, right? So we can go ahead and schedule a deal review right here, or I can create a task for Laura to schedule one with me. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to look at this opportunity from the perspective of Laura. So I've logged into Salesforce as Laura. I've started going through my opportunities. I've got weekly forecast calls that I'm preparing for. And I come across my opportunity here for Ramcor, and I see that what Einstein is recommending it as a probability for this deal is certainly not what I'm forecasting. And I can see some of the reasons why. I can see some of the same things that my VP was seeing. And this is not going to play well on my call, right? So I better get a handle on this. So I immediately see that I've got an escalated case. that's something that I probably need to figure out very quickly. And I can see here on the related cases for this opportunity that I've got a laptop recall, and the laptop recall affects this opportunity. And so I'm going to go ahead and rally my customer success manager. I'm going to call my support team, and I'm going to understand what's going on with this laptop recall. We're probably going to need to get an executive meeting with the customer to make sure we're doing the right things. And by the way, that'll also help my my issue out there without having the right executive contacts in place. The other thing I can do is I can look at other open cases that are out there. I can see the overall pipelines, the overall pipeline that I have with my customer here at Ramcor, and I can make sure that I'm not just fixing an issue one time. We're doing the right things overall for the relationship. In addition to that, I do see that I've got a deal review scheduled. As I look at my activities here, it looks like I've got an urgent deal review that's been scheduled, and I may have been notified by that in Chatter or in Lightning as well, or excuse me, on email. And so I'm going to get this scheduled ASAP, and I'm going to make sure I get the right people in place from across the organization to make sure we fix the issue. So this is an example of the experience as we think about it from a manager perspective, we think about it from a rep perspective, and not just in sales by example. We can think about it, how do we quarterback our entire organization on behalf of our customers?
Okay, so what did we accomplish? We improved our forecast visibility. As a manager, I was able to see across my regions, across my product segments, and across my sales teams, where are we doing well? Where do we have risk? We improved our conversion rate by being able to act on the insights that were provided to me as part of the process. I was able to engage my sales teams, and my reps were able to engage so that we could bring really the power of our whole organization to bear to improve outcomes for our customers and drive win rate. And in the process of doing that, we really drove our customer satisfaction. We drove outcomes for our customers, which made us a more trusted partner. And as part of the process, we drove our adoption of Salesforce. All of a sudden, Salesforce is a powerful tool that allows us to act on insights organizationally within teams and across our organization. And in the process of doing that, we established a data-driven culture. Our data is now an asset to us, and we're believers across the organization in our data. So that's a little bit about what's possible when we do this right on the Salesforce platform with an intelligent forecasting solution. All right, Randy, over to you. You want to tell us a little bit about Avaya?
All right, thanks, Jeff. Excited to talk about Avaya here, customer story for us. And for those who are not familiar, they're a large telecommunications provider with a global presence. Their products range from complex capital equipment to cloud solutions sold on a subscription basis. When we first engaged with them, they were looking to incorporate more automation into their sales forecast. Their process included significant amounts of time spent having conversations in the field, making manual adjustments, and then manually compiling information throughout every week of every quarter. So Avaya wanted to leverage predictive analytics to give their data a voice and streamline some of those manual efforts. They wanted to change the conversation in the field from details around deal status to actually prioritizing deals and where they should be spending their time, identifying trends and understanding the information and actions that really move deals forward for them. The solution that we developed and deployed with Avaya continues to evolve with a series of opportunity propensity models that produce a single score based on a weighted average of the likelihood to close in the quarter, as well as the likelihood to close overall. And those forecast results are displayed and rolled up in a series of Einstein forecast dashboards. We continue to incorporate more opportunity data into the solution and identify improvements to make in data capture, business process, and user adoption. And as we explore insights produced by these models, we identify areas for improvement. As those areas are addressed, the analytics and the models improve, which fosters that environment of continuous improvement where the sales reps are rewarded with insights as they put more information into Salesforce. One outcome of this process identified the case for a new model to score the health of an opportunity. This deal health model uses some of the same data as the propensity models, but is focused on actionability for sales reps and the coaching insights that go along with those for the managers. So the complementary deal health score and the insights are pulled together with a forecast propensity score on a custom Lightning card displayed right there on the opportunity page. So again, the goal here is to put these insights in front of the people that can use them where they're already spending their time. So how is this solution possible? It all starts with the data. We pulled data from Salesforce and other sources to find the data that tells us the most about the likelihood for an opportunity to close. For the data acquisition activities, Einstein is a great tool, as you can pull information in from the back office systems, ERP, data warehouses, or other systems that contain data related to, but not directly stored in Salesforce. And like most organizations, Avaya's data was not perfect, but the data exploration exercise helps to identify key areas for improvement. So we went through many iterations to identify the right features and complete some engineering to transform those data elements. And this is where we create features that store how long opportunities spend in sales stages and other indicators of how an opportunity may progress through the system over time. Employing an iterative approach here allows us to validate that the model results make sense from a business perspective and that the model performs well from a data science perspective. Success requires us to marry both perspectives and then present sales users with those meaningful insights, again, where they're working. To drive win rates, the scores and insights must be operationalized with that user experience in mind. Insights embedded in their workflow will drive better process, improve user adoption, and provide for a more complete data capture. So how did we get started here? It's the same way that we recommend to many of our customers with an intelligent experience workshop. And in these sessions, we take a persona-based approach that expands thinking about the possibilities and then hones in on the most impactful use cases and the data that's available to support them. These workshops are typically completed in 3 or 4 hour collaborative effort with a cross section of key stakeholders. We're doing these remotely now. And the workshop itself is bracketed by some pre and post work. It allows us to pull together a plan that will move the business forward and achieve the desired outcomes associated with implementing a data-driven experience for your users.
All right, thanks, Randy. So just in summary, covered a lot of ground here. Hopefully the takeaways from everyone who has a chance to review this is that, this is achievable. Real-time data-driven forecasts with embedded ML and predictive and prescriptive insights to help our sales team take action. This is achievable. This is real with the technology and the tools that we have today. It doesn't all happen in one fell swoop. It's a journey to get there, but there's a path for it, and there's a place to get started. And there are very few companies that don't have what they need to be able to deploy a successful MVP to start that journey, that minimum viable product. And if you're interested in understanding more and interested in getting started with your own journey, please do reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, everyone.